So you just got your first client. You're a young adult, maybe a mentee of mine, and you're scared to death on what to do. They just paid you. You're afraid you're going to screw up. You're afraid maybe you don't know enough about SEO, WordPress, PPC, Facebook ads, and all that. You're scouring all the blogs, money, Twitter, all the bros that want to give advice on how to grow your agency out there. Maybe you've been flexing and celebrating but haven't spent enough time actually delivering results. Now you're worried about what to do. You know, I was going to postpone making this video until tomorrow or some other convenient time because it's past midnight. I'm in Atlanta here, and I'm supposed to be preparing for my keynote because I'm a busy, important person. But I'm making this for you because I want you to succeed and see how easy it is so that you can get on the other side of this where you're delivering results for that client. In this case, this young adult that will go unnamed unless he wants to be named has a pest control client, does $3 million a year, ranks decently already on pest control plus the city name, and I'm going to give you specific advice on what to do. So this is for him as well as for anyone else in this situation where you have a local services client. Plumbing, pest control, garage door, chiropractor, painting, contracting, whatever, local, okay? So I'm going to go through some slides here that I'm not going to share with you unless you ping me privately, and then I can share it with you. But I'm going to show you some stats here. So I ran some SEO analysis, and I see that this particular company has a domain rating of only 13 from 1,300 referring links. There's all kinds of training I have on how to do SEO and see what these numbers mean, but there's not a lot of trust to this site because there's not a lot of articles that are from high authority relevant sites, like different sites that we have, free ebooks, Blitzmetrics. These are all DR60, DR75 kinds of sites that increase the authority of that site. And of these links that are there, 1,300 links, there's 9,000 some keywords, actually 10,653. And they rank on city name pest control city name, and then a bunch of stuff like can cats eat stink bugs? 400 searches a month, 143 of those they get because they're in position 1. And they have other sorts of terms like exterminator and their city name, pest control, city name, state, bug infestation in house, a lot of these. And that's because there are blog posts that are website name / pest control city name and website name / where do pest control spray in apartments, all kinds of articles. They have some okay location service pages, website name / pest control suburb within that city and other suburbs within that city. So there's a lot of these that are there, and I look at the SERP features and I see that there's some ads, but local service ads aren't there. That's the easiest thing in local services if that category is there in Google LSA. Go check it out. They add new ones every couple days. I don't see videos. I don't see a lot of images. I don't see a lot of social media. I see a lot of just general citations that are working well. But the beauty is you can take what's already working and use $1 a day against it, turn these articles into videos, add more information on those location service pages, look at what we're already doing pretty well on. For example, let's see, squirrel in house, signs of pest infestation, ant exterminator. We moved up from position 29 to 17 just in the last couple days. That's pretty good. 7,300 searches a month. We only get 7 of them. But also, when you see a lot of this blogging, which is true of this site, but true of any site that's got decent SEO, is there's a lot of people that are searching across the US on ants and squirrels and pigeons and whatnot, but they're not searching in this particular city. So that's okay if you're making a lot of blogs that answer that question, but you want to start to weave in things that are geo-specific. So that question, that thing that we have on like the 10 largest species of spider, that's just an interesting random question. It's not that someone has a spider infestation, but if you can embed something related to that city or link from there to something specific to that city, to the location service page, then it'll help you. The risk I see here is that there's been basically a doubling, actually more than a doubling of the traffic. A year ago, October 2022, we were at 2,000 visits a month, and now we are at 5,000, so 2.5 times. So that's a lot of visits. That's 130 visits a day. but most of it is on just general terms that aren't related to people that are actually looking to hire a pest control company, and that's okay. But just be aware of what that balance is. Look on how much inside this in the Search Console you're getting on brand terms. Brand terms where people are searching on the company's name and on the founder's name. If he's prominent, or even if he's not prominent, they're going to search on the owner's name. That's important. That when those brand searches increase, that means that there's more, that you're doing a good job, social media, reputation, reviews, all that kind of stuff. So this site has a DR13. It's gone up by 1 in the last year. Good job. But you can increase it by a lot. But let's raise it up to 20 something. We've increased the number of backlinks, almost doubled it. We've doubled the number of referring domains, up 197 to 467, and we're up 5,000 more keywords. But just because you rank on more keywords doesn't mean there's a win. Here's the most important point for you to think about. I heard you say something like you want to take this client from 3 million to 5 million, right? Imagine you can add an extra 2 million a year. That sounds great. And they're going to pay you more. All those things that happen when you're making them more money, they can pay you. That's true. But here's the thing you're probably not doing, and almost all these other agencies fail on. It's one thing to say, yes, I'd like to make you more money, but can you prove that that's what you've done? So you need to get into the CRM. So whatever the system is, it could be HubSpot, it could be Service Titan, it could, like, wherever the money is being tracked. So especially in home service companies, it could be real estate, could be home service, doesn't matter what the cat, lawyers, they all have some kind of system that tracks the calls. And when those are turned into signed deals and turned into revenue when the client pays, there's some system, a CRM, customer relationship management system, that tracks when the money is being paid, like tracks it to a phone call, from the phone call to being paid. So that's where you start first in digital plumbing. So we have a whole course on that, the digital plumbing course, blitzmetrics.com/DPC, to learn how to track that particular item, tie it back to the Google Analytics, that event tracking in Google Analytics, which is part of, you tie it into the Google Analytics 4, so you have the pixels and conversion tracking on Facebook and Google and TikTok and Twitter and all that, which sounds like a difficult thing to do. It's actually not. You just have to do it once for each client, or have someone else do it who's a specialist on your team, or worst case, have our team do it. But when you have that tracking and you can show that not only is their business up from 3 million to 5 million, 6 million a year, but it came because of your efforts, not because they spent money on TV, not because they did some partnership, not because they have better service, not like, you've got to be able to show it came from your digital marketing efforts, then the client will pay you more. Okay? So get that digital plumbing in place. Yes, go to town on making content, go to town on whatever your favorite AI tools to generate blogs and whatever. I see a lot of young adults that are doing that. Nothing wrong with blogs, but start with what's most important, which is the business result. Then tie that back to real content. So we teach in the Content Factory, making 1-minute videos, having the technicians gather little feedback along the way, like, hey, we're about to go visit Sally and she's got a squirrel infestation, or check this out, or just kind of like behind the scenes along the way, ride along with me, real content off of their phones, little 15-second videos, not pictures. I mean, take pictures if you can, but video's better. But when all that's into the Google Drive, then your team, agency owner, can take that and repurpose that into the blog posts, into social media, into a book even, all other kinds of content. Then you can use the AI tools to process against that original raw snippet. If you start from nothing, out of thin air, which is called synthetic content, it might work, and I've seen it work already in the last year or so from people that are just mindlessly using AI because they just want to sprinkle AI on everything, like they put salt on everything. That will eventually get you in trouble because all the other sites can do that too. And now you have the whole neighborhood just astroturfed, basically. Start with the real content. Then you can show every week or every month, depending on what your frequency is, what those results are. So you can show that you're producing content, that you're processing it using Descript, which is what we recommend. But if you want to go fancy in the hard way, then use all these other tools. You're posting on all these other channels. So the GMB and the blog, and enhancing existing blog posts, YouTube, all that, right? Embedding the YouTube in the blogs, existing blog post, location service pages, and then you're promoting it for $1 a day. So you can show the flow of the content as it's being made, processed, posted, and then promote it across these other channels, and then show that is driving more calls, and the calls is resulting in more book jobs, which is more revenue. So in a concrete coding company, like another 10 calls per month might be another 3 jobs, and the average job might be worth $3,000. That's an extra $10K a month. If you're generating an incremental $10K a month and you're spending $1,000 on ads and whatnot, then they would pay you as an agency easily another $1,000, $2,000 for that, right? So that's where the math is. There's a format we call the success tracker, and I've opened it up here, but you can't see my screen. And I'm showing the success tracker for the Golden State Warriors that we did for 5.5 years. And we showed, put $1 million in, get $38 million approvable ticket revenue back out. One for Ashley Furniture here. For every dollar we put in, we got another $14 back. Point of sale, booked, real credit card revenue. People came in, they ordered furniture, couches, all that kind of stuff. Proven there, so we know, hey, we're going to increase our budget from $1 million a month to $1.5 million a month, or whatever, $1,000 a month to $1,500. Whatever the increase is, you can show it when you have that kind of result. Now, if you are just you and it's new and you have a deer in the headlights kind of thing, and all of this sounds complicated because it requires lots of people and there's lots of things, and you're busy out there hustling, trying to get more clients, instead of taking care of the one you got, take care of the one you got first. That's how you get the other ones. Don't do it the wrong way. That's a common mistake. Then start becoming good enough yourself to be able to do it. I see so many young adults, they spend all this time flexing and hanging out with all these people as if hanging out with these other people that are completely broke and don't know how to scale an agency, don't know how to do SEO or build website. Like, that's not going to work. You need to be out of your comfort zone and be around people that have done the thing that you want to do. So there's only 2 kinds of people really you should hang out with. A, clients. So if I'm in pest control, I'm going to spend time hanging out with other owners of pest control companies, right? I mean, that's what you want, right? That's your niche. And then number 2, I'm going to hang around other people that are experts in particular areas that have done the thing that I want to do. So I'm going to be in Miami with other digital marketing agencies that have scaled to 7 and 8 figures because they have done it, versus random people on Twitter that want to give you advice. They're broke in their parents' basement trying to give you advice on how to make $1 million. Well, why would you listen to any of those sorts of people, right? You want to be a public speaker? Talk to someone who's done public speaking before, not someone who has an idea of what they read because they listened to Alex Hormozi or Brad Lee. Their advice might be good, but it's not from their own direct experience. So you assemble the success tracker. Maybe you hire a VA, 2, 3 VAs, to be able to do this work, go through our training on how to implement the 4-stage content factory. And then they can update the success tracker. They can use Descript to be able to modify the content, right? Process the, I don't say video editor. I intentionally don't say video editor because then it implies someone who just mindlessly edits videos using Premiere Pro and whatever. They need to understand the goals, content, and targeting. They need to understand what a pest control company does, what a job is worth, what the different systems are. And maybe you don't know what the CRM is that the pest control company uses. Well, find out. Get access to that. Don't just, as part of access, get access to the Google Analytics, because Google Analytics tells you out of the box where the website visitors are coming from and what they searched on, but it doesn't tell you, did it turn into a phone call? So maybe they're using CallRail. Make sure you understand how that works. And then there's some kind of CRM that tracks when the jobs are being booked and when it turns in the revenue. You have to start from there and back it all the way up. I don't care how many impressions or views or you went viral on TikTok. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's great, but I need to trace it back to those book jobs and the revenue, right? So you do that. I ran a local Falcon report in this city, and I see that in the city center, they rank number 1, green circle, and then just a couple miles out, they're not even there, position 10, 16, 20, and they have a share of voice, actually it's higher than I thought, 18%. So share of local voice, SOLV, stands for what percent of the time they're even showing up. They're showing up 18% of the time, so 1/5 of the time. And here I can see against their competitors, they Squish Pest Control, Ecogenics. There's other people with the exact same name, so be careful about that. It is search on this client's name, and there's lots of other ones that have the same name. And I see our client here, well, no, actually, they're being beat by Western Exterminator, Complete Exterminating Inc., Point Pest Control. Like, do an analysis, even if you don't have access. So this young adult was complaining he couldn't do anything for 3 months, but he was paid for 3 months or something like that, but couldn't do anything. You can do analysis on these competitors and see what they're doing. See, how they're ranking in local service ads. See what areas they have. So this guy who's number one is ranking in areas even north all the way to Vancouver, Washington, not Vancouver, Canada. And you can literally see their top content. I see from a social media standpoint, I'm using a tool which you might not be able to get access to. I did when I was media, but CrowdTangle. So I can see all the shares. You can't see my screen, but I'm looking at all the shares that have ever happened on social media to their website. And there's a lot of them. There's this one here from Homeless Animals Lifeline Organization. Tip Tuesday this week. This was from 3 years ago. This week's tip topic: 10 bugs and rodents to keep away from your pets. Come back next week for more tips. Website name / bugs, rodents, blah, blah, blah. And there's lots of these other ones. These are great opportunities. No one's even engaged on it. The only person who engaged was apparently a customer. You didn't even engage on, client probably doesn't even know. And you as the agency owner, you probably don't even know where all these shares are coming from. You've got to collect all these and put into the content library. I do a search on Google for the client's name, and they rank number one on theirs, area code 503, which is Portland, okay. But then there's these other ones that in India, Eco Care Fumigation, that's someone else. This is someone in Maryland with the same name. Angie's List, which that's the correct one. Modern Pest, they're called the same thing, but they have offices and all these. No, that's not them. Next Door, that is them. Like, there's all these other ones. So they haven't owned their name, and the owner is not prominent, nor does he want to be a personal brand, but that's okay. You can still, the owner and the wife own the business, that you should still rank on those names. I see you made a YouTube channel. Somebody made a YouTube channel a month ago. August 14th. 625 views already on 4 random videos. Not bad. Continue doing that. But look at the framework that you've got to follow, right? It's the whole celebration too early. There's lots of memes of people celebrating too early. Client paid you for that first month. Yes, I understand you want to make money and hustle and get to $1 million or whatever it is, but take care of the way you get money is not by chasing money. It's by taking care of clients, because then they talk about you, and that's what makes you money. You got it backwards. So start with that access checklist. Blitzmetrics.com/ACL. That's the one for us. But all the other agencies take that and change the business manager ID for Facebook, change the business center ID for TikTok, change your Google MCC, My Client Center, right? So you can have access to the Google ads and all that. And then make sure that you're able to go through the success tracker. The success tracker, just do a search for Blitzmetrics Success Tracker. Look on YouTube, look on these other places, and watch me walk through it for Ashley Furniture, Warriors, all this. If you're in our academy, if you're not a young adult, then pay, don't be stingy. Just pay the $2,500 to get access to this in the coaching program. So you have all our templates and all that up to date instead of trying to Google for all this random stuff. And you can build a success tracker. It's more work in the beginning, yes, to get everything going, just like building a house and, whatever. Or if you're cleaning a hoarder's house, it's more effort. But get that going. And then I want you to look at blitzmetrics.com/CEP, which is the conversion engine package. And this shows what needs to happen step by step. Show this to the client. If you're a client, then you should know this is what's supposed to happen. Because how often, I'll just speak to the client. If a client's watching this, they paid you some money. Maybe they trusted me. Maybe they trusted somebody else, but they're trusting you. They don't know all the ins and outs of digital marketing. They don't remember what happened on that call or when you had dinner and maybe I or somebody said, hey, you should sign up for so-and-so's package, and they trust you. They just want the result. But here, this lays out what happens day by day. This lays out what happens step by step. I can tell you the number one problem I see is that these business owners, they sign up with the agency just trusting them, not understanding all the details, nor should they want to. And then a week later, they're like, all right, I paid. What's going on? All right, two weeks later, what's going on? I guess I'll call them and ask them what's going on. And then now you're in a mad scramble because the client's called you 2 weeks later. You celebrated way too early, popped the champagne when you got paid, maybe blew all the money. you have to deliver, okay? These things are all month to month. You're not locking people into a year-long contract. And you might say, oh, but SEO takes a long time and I get access. You have to show the client in advance before you close them. What are you, like a salesperson closing people? No, you're a doctor. You're helping patients who have come in, they're in pain. They need your help to diagnose and fix the pain. Show them this is what happens. First step, we establish access, set up the digital plumbing for all the tracking. Then we start creating your content or leveraging the content you already have into a content library. Then we start running $1 a day, which starts with Facebook. We start cross-posting that on the website. We update your Google My Business, make sure it ranks. We turn on local service ads if you're in a category that Google supports. We cross-post to YouTube. We send out a weekly report every Friday. That way you know. That way you don't have to ask. That way it's not like weekly, but what day of the week. Like you make it very clear they know. Like if on Thursday, you're like, I don't know what's going on. Oh, Friday, I get my weekly report. Oh, okay. And here it is. Project timeline, day 1 to 10. Day 11 to 15, we're assembling the 3x3 grid. We're figuring out what the greatest hits are. Project timeline, day 16 to 45. We're boosting, running local service ads, reactivating, using high level or whatever it is. I'm reading what's on this public webpage, blitzmetrics.com/CEP, right? I'm looking in the Google Drive, and here's the library of all the content that we've collected. So when that client, I'm speaking to you as the agency owner, when that client has paid you the money, you're going to kick off all these things, right? You're going to set up the project management. We use Basecamp. You're going to start collecting everything you can in the content library by Googling them, by running the Vendasta snapshot report, by going to Local Falcon and getting like a 5x5 or a 9x9 grid. You're going to get access to all these components. Like all these things need to kick off in parallel. And then there's updating and analysis that occurs at every step of the way. Right now, I'm looking at the Ashley Furniture Success Tracker. This is the world's largest furniture manufacturer and retailer. And if we can do it for them, you can do it for your one client who has one location, right? I don't care if you're just like one guy. Oh, I'm brand new. I'm only one guy. Just follow what the steps are. You can see here's the section, getting stuff done. Here's check, 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 check. We did all these things. We can show the client, yes, we got these things done. Now, do they understand what every little checkbox means? Created a test funnel for the so-and-so location to demonstrate funnel implementation using exclusion audiences to isolate funnel stages. Updated ad spend from $1,500 a week to $5,000, blah, blah, blah. They don't need to know what that is, but every week, if they know, here's a list of things that we did. Here's a list of things that we're going to do in this next week. They can say like, okay, well, at least I know they're working hard. And then you do MAA, which is phase 6 of the process, which metrics analysis action. And you show them like traffic went up. Last week we had 13 phone calls, and this week we had 15 phone calls, and this resulted in this many book jobs, phone calls, and all that kind of stuff, and revenue, right? And you can show according to the 6-phase process that we implement, which is all part of $1 a day. We used to call it social amplification engine, but it's all part of $1 a day, right? Plumbing, which is all the tracking, that first step to get all the data in place. Goals, content, targeting, amplification, which is basically the 4 stages of the content factory. And the last stage is optimization, the ongoing tuning, right? 6 stages. Beginning and end stages, and then the 4 stages in the middle, which is getting the content going, using tools, running ads, that kind of thing. So here in this document, which is an obscene number of pages, I want to say it's like 100 pages. Actually, and it's more. It's 122 pages. But this is after doing it for a few years, and this is running against a big company. So you might look at it and say, oh, this doesn't apply to me. I can't do this thing with 120 pages. Well, you start out, you're like 4 or 5 pages, and then you start testing, and you're like, okay, here's the top ads for conversion. Here's what we're testing for YouTube. Here's what we discovered about, how we're answering the calls. Here's a new dashboard that we're building. Here's some dependencies on, the call tracking system. Or, hey, we cut TV and radio, and we saw brand searches go down because less people know about us. Or we changed to a new website, and here's what the impact is. The website loads too slow now. Like, there's always stuff to be able to update. Keep that in your project management system. Hire another VA or 2 or another young adult that knows how to go through these steps, and then your client's never going to be wondering what's going on. I'll leave you with one key thing. You made it this far. This is the number one reason why clients leave you. You know what it is? Lack of perceived care. They think you don't care. They've trusted you from the beginning. They don't hear much from you. I even see this with the people that we're training that are running our little micro agency, right? We're not just coaching other agencies. We have our own little thing just as a, like Domino's Pizza as a test kitchen. And in Detroit, basically where they're based. I mean, they have lots of Domino's pizzas, but they have their own test kitchen, so they can always be trying out new recipes and things like that. We see that inside our own little test agency, where our account managers, who are by definition, when you're the agency owner, you're the account manager. You're the one the client talks to. You're the one who's in charge. You're the one who's supposed to make it happen. Doesn't matter if you're delegating to someone else, you outsource to someone else, you hired someone in Fiverr. Client doesn't care that you did that. Client, you're responsible, whether you do it or you pushed it off to someone else, it's still on you. You're the account manager until you hire another account manager. You don't hire an account manager until you get to 10, 15 plus clients, by the way. So initially you have to be the account manager and you have to be the worker. So clients leave you because a lack of perceived care, which means lack of communication. I see a lot of young adults and they say, oh, I'm working so hard. I'm doing all these things and you don't show me enough love and you don't respect that I'm working so hard. You don't give me enough praise. I'm like, how do I praise when you're not updating? How do I know what's going on? I can't go inside your head. I'm not spying on you to see are you working or not? I don't want to do that. I don't want to babysit and see oh, did you show up to the office at 9 o'clock? I'm not forcing you to go to the office. Client doesn't want to do that. You're an adult. They're paying you money. They want the result. Be reliable in your communication. And as long as you keep the communication, we call it frequent, lightweight touches. You probably have heard me. If you're on our team, you've heard me say it hundreds of times, especially you ignore the client after a few weeks. What happens? They get mad. Then they chase me down. Then I got to chase you down. Don't let that happen. Oh, but excuse. My grandma died, this other thing after the fact. Here's my excuse after I have left you in the dark for several weeks. No. Don't do this after I've ignored you, then give me the excuse, right? If you want to know what the top reasons are that I've heard over the last few years, you can Google "Don't Make Me Chase You," Dennis Yu, and see the list of these. And you can also Google excuses. I've heard them all, Dennis Yu, and you'll see all of them. I've heard everything in the last 30 years. There's no new excuse. You might think you have a clever new excuse. I've already heard all of them. It's like trying to fool the teacher. Don't do that. Communicate in advance. You're going to be gone for a week. Communicate in advance because clients leave you. This is one thing. If you lose a client, you're going to remember, Dennis told me this, for a lack of perceived care. You could be working hard and you don't want to say anything to the client. You're going to be all secretive for a week or two because ta-da, in a couple weeks, you're going to unveil all this work that you've done. But by then, it's too late. By then, something else has happened and your good intentions to eventually communicate something when it's perfect resulted in you being blind and silent for weeks. So frequent, lightweight touches. Don't make excuses for why, oh, next week I'll give them an update. Just like next week I'm going to go to the gym and next week I'm going to do my taxes. Or don't do that to the client, right? They're paying you. They need to hear from you. They don't want to have to process all your excuses. I don't want to have to listen to all your excuses and try to convince you on why being reliable is important. Now I'm wasting time, trying to convince you. Anyway, you see that. The number one reason clients leave is because you're just not communicating. Out of sight, out of mind. By then, you could be doing a great job. And they could be thinking, well, I talked to someone else and they said, oh, here's this other cool thing, but I never heard from so-and-so. So I guess they're not really on the ball. So, as you know, agencies, they're not updating the clients. They're not looking at the accounts. They're too busy on vacation or what seems to be a vacation. All of these things can be misconstrued the wrong way when you're not communicating regularly with the client, just like you would with a good friend of yours or girlfriend. How do you communicate with someone who's a good friend of yours? You text them, you talk to them. You don't, yes, send the weekly report. Yes, use the project management system, but communicate. Treat them like a good friend and they'll continue to pay you and it won't be this awkward, uncomfortable thing. Because the longer you ignore them, then it's I've not talked to the client in 2 weeks. They're probably mad. I know I haven't done anything. I'm feeling guilty. I'm going to make more excuses. Let me just spend the rest of this afternoon making excuses about why I haven't talked to them. It's a whole waste of time. Don't do that. Follow the steps. If you're behind, just tell them, look, I'm behind. I've lost track the last week or two. Just be honest with the client. And then you'll avoid all the crazy client churn issues. We lost a client that paid us $40,000 a month. That's a lot of money. That's $500,000 a year. And all because the account manager was so scared of talking to this client because, Dennis will do it. And so Dennis, me, was carrying the relationship. So I was doing the texting. I was flying out and visiting this guy over and over again. And meanwhile, the account manager that we hired to do just this one client was nowhere to be found. And the client said, I know you hired this young adult, but I've never heard from this guy in 3 months. And that's a fair statement. So don't be like that. Don't think like, oh, this client's so important and so busy, I don't ever want to talk to him, or I'm not going to send them an update until it's this perfect thing. Sometime in 3 months from now, I'll have some update that I can then share, but I'm going to be quiet until then. Don't do that. It's going to get you in trouble. Follow these steps here. Send out the weekly reports. If you're coached in my program, then ask for help from me, or, it's freaking 1 a.m. right now, and I help people out. I was up till 6 yesterday morning, a.m., to help people. I was on a plane for 4.5 hours flying from coast to coast, helping people while I was on the plane. So build up a team, hang out with other agency owners. We have a little group that meets every Wednesday of young adult agency owners. Some are at nothing and are moving at 10K. Some are now at 10K a month. Some are at $1 million, whatever it might be, right? So biggest issue is just the simple stuff. It's not this crazy expertise. Oh, this dentist got all this amazing magic expertise in digital marketing. No, it's so simple. It's showing that you care. It's that simple. But to show you care, you have to take steps. You have to show the client that you're trying. We have the framework. Use this blueprint. You will win. If you're a young adult, your biggest issue, and if you're one of the young adults that I've been coaching, you know this, 80% of it's mindset, where you just have all this weird baggage in your mind that you don't deserve it, or you're going to lose this client, or whatever random nonsense is in your head. So get out of that. Follow these checklists. It's more effort to make excuses than it is to do it. I want to see how you perform here, and I want to celebrate your success. I'd love to see what you think about this in the comments, because if you do, I'll make more videos like this. If not, I won't. So let me know if this is helping you.